What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the farm. It is Saturday, January 31st, and as you can see, it's a winter wonderland here now. We are at about 6 inches of snow here today, and I'm out here right now. I'm checking on the chickens. Having chickens out here in this cold weather is it's 16 degrees right now as well, and it's noon. It's not really going to warm up anymore today, but having the chickens in this kind of weather, you're constantly out having to break up their water jug. Right now, it's frozen solid. So I just had to bring a whole pitcher of hot water out to pour it out to try to thaw some of the other stuff, but also pour them some other cups of water to drink on. Um, but other than that, just out here kind of checking on the status of things. Thankfully, this snow is a really light, fluffy, dry snow, and it's not really causing any problems. Last weekend, we had some freezing rain that came through. We only got about 1/8 of an inch of freezing rain. It's nothing like what uh, Mississippi and central middle Tennessee and Kentucky and places like that got. We didn't have anything like that, thankfully. Um, I'm going to finish up out here, and then I'm going to go inside. I started my onion sets over the past 2.5. Well, I started some last weekend, and then I started some 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm going to take you inside, show you how I did that, give you a rundown on that. But the main thing is, I just don't want to stand out here much longer because it's really cold and the wind is picking up. It's about 15, 16 mile per hour winds, they said. So I'm going to finish up what I'm doing out here right now, and I'm going to get inside and I will show you how I did my onions here in just a few minutes. All right, we are inside now. It is really uncomfortable out there. Normally, cold weather does not bother me. I've got plenty of stuff to bundle up with, but I mean, 16 degrees and a 14, 15 mile per hour wind plus the snow coming down, that was pretty cold. I'm glad I'm back inside. So, what we got here is, well, before I get to this, if you've watched my videos in the past, I always do an onion video every year, and I've always purchased my onion sets from Dixondale Onions. They've been fantastic. Never had a problem with them. This year I decided I wanted to try to grow my own onions from seeds. Part of the reason for that is cost. A bundle of, I think it's anywhere from 60 to 70 onion sets from Dixondale Onions. Ballpark is like $10 a bundle. The price varies depending on how many bundles you buy, and I normally buy anywhere from 4 to 6 bundles. So the price kind of, I think they're normally like $11.95 a bundle, but the more you buy, the cheaper the unit price becomes. So it's kind of expensive. Whereas if you do them from seed, you can get a pack of like 300 seeds for $3 or $4. So what I'm doing this year is I'm going to try to germinate my own onion sets using seed, and I went with Baker Creek seeds, which I bought a lot of seeds from Baker Creek Seeds over the years, had a lot of success with them, nothing negative to say about them. But I'm going to give this a try. So what I'm going to do this year as far as the varieties I'm going to grow, if you've seen in the past, I've always done a candy onion, which is a really large, sweet Vidalia style onion. And then I will do a yellow storage style onion, which is a little bit more potent. It's not as sweet. Kind of, when you cut into them, it kind of makes you want to cry a little bit. Those are your better storage onions. Those that make you have the kind of tears come to your eyes when you start trying to cut into them. And then I'll usually grow a red onion. Well, the varieties I'm buying from seed are not the same varieties that I can buy the sets for from Dixondale Onion for the most part. So what I'm doing this year is for my large sweet onion, I'm doing a Texas Early Grand X. Now you can buy Texas Grand X sets from Dixondale. I have never actually grown them before, so this is a double first for me. Never tried this variety and never grown onion sets from seeds. So first onion is a large, sweet Texas. Man, that wind is blowing that snow everywhere. I'm looking out the window behind the camera. Next is yellow Spanish. So I've grown yellow Spanish for the past couple years. They are kind of a medium storage life onion. You can see the videos in the past where I've gone into more detail about them. They're a medium-sized onion. They're a yellowish color. They're not a pure bleach white color onion. And I would say they probably store anywhere from 4 to 6 months if you take care to cure them properly whenever you're done harvesting them. So, had experience with these before. They're always a good performer. I'm going to do that again. And then I've got 2 other new varieties I've never done before. There's a variety that I picked up called Yellow of Parma. They had a lot of good reviews on Baker Creek. They're not a yellow onion like a yellow Spanish, but they have a yellow tint to them. They're more of a white onion. They're supposed to be a good mid-range storage onion as well, so we're going to give those a try. And then the red onion I bought is one I've never heard of before either. It's a Academa Salad Red. So it's a small to medium sized red onion. Decent storage potential on it. So looking forward to giving these a try. As far as starting these, so today is January 31st, like I said in the intro. I started my yellow Spanish and my Academa Reds 2.5 weeks ago. And so they're already sprouting in here a little bit, and I'll show you some of that here in a little bit. So I started these 2.5 weeks ago. I decided then that I wanted to buy 2 more varieties, and that's when I picked up the, no, I said that wrong, I guess. I first started my Texas Early Grand X and my Academa Salad Red 2.5 weeks ago, and then I picked up Yellow Spanish and Yellow of Parma. And I just started those, just put those seeds in the soil a week ago because we had the freezing rain came through last weekend. I was in here working. I didn't take the time to get the camera out to video all of that. So today I decided I was going to go ahead and video it. But what I did was, I've seen lots of videos where people grow their onions from seed, and some people like to start with the little trays or the cups, and they put 1 seed per cell in there. Okay, that's fine. You can do that. I'm sure it works just fine, but onions don't really require that much space. And a lot of the videos I was watching, people basically just started with a bin of some sort, and they basically just put soil on the bottom. They sprinkled the onions in. You moisten the soil. You sprinkle the onion seeds all throughout the bin. Put another layer of soil on top of it, and then you just keep it moist with the lid on top. So this is actually a locking snap lid, and then you keep it underneath a grow light, or in this case a window, but you keep it under a light source, and then you make sure that you've got enough heat underneath it here to warm the soil to the temperature it needs to be for the seeds to germinate. Now I did these a couple different ways. If you watched my videos last year, you saw where I rigged a grow light setup on top of my deep freezer in my basement, because that deep freezer gives off a lot of waste heat out the top of it, and I decided to utilize that heat coming up from the top of the freezer to heat the soil to help germinate the seeds. So what I did was I started these on top of that freezer for about the first week, and then after that point, once they finally broke through the soil, I started noticing that they looked like they were overheating, because the top of that freezer runs around 80 to 85 degrees. And I was like, okay, onions are kind of a cool weather crop. Maybe it's too hot. So I pulled them away and I put them in my crawl space underneath a grow light setup that I have there. And then I also put them up here in front of my big bay window here in the kitchen, that it gets a lot of sunlight in there. And once I did that, the browning of the tips tended to slow down, I would say. Now, from what I understand, it's kind of normal that the tips of these onion sprouts, these seedlings, whenever they come up, they'll shoot up first. You'll have the little seed node attached to the top of the sprout, and then the top will begin to turn brown and die off as it's getting ready to shoot up its next leaf. So I don't know. This is all still new to me as far as growing onions from seed. I'm going to try to keep you guys updated. May not be through full-length videos, maybe through some shorts and things, just to kind of give you regular updates on how it's progressing. But I'll pull you in here for a little bit closer view of how some of this is going, and kind of give you a little bit more information on what I did here. All right, so here is the Texas Early Grand X, and you can see they've sprouted all along the edges here and up in there. I'm trying to figure out exactly. So when I water this, I just lightly water the entire surface layer, but for some reason all the water seems to be going over to the wall. I have a feeling what's happening is it's kind of evaporating under the heat lamp and then condensing on those side walls and then just running down. And then the only area that's really actually getting any moisture are these seeds along the side wall. And then unfortunately, because of that, now I'm starting to get mold and stuff forming in here. So I'm starting to get a little bit concerned as far as how this is going to turn out. I'm probably going to start leaving the lid off just to try to reduce the moisture content in here and hopefully get the mold to stop, and then the onions will hopefully take off. But there's still seedlings popping up that are, that weren't here a couple days ago. So that's a good thing. All right, so this is the yellow Spanish and the yellow of Parma that I started exactly 1 week ago. You can see there is no mold forming in this one yet, really, but at the same time, there's also not any seeds that have germinated and sprouted yet. It took the others about 10 days before they actually popped out of the soil, so I'm kind of expecting that's roughly what this one's going to be. I don't know. I'm just going to keep an eye on it and update you later. This is just a generic bagged soil that I took and I ran through a screen, what size was it? A 3/8 inch mesh screen, just to filter out any larger stuff. You could use any type of seed starting soil. If you want to go cheap, you can buy just the generic cheap soil, organic or whatever you choose, but then just be sure to screen it and get those larger chunks out, because they can be a hindrance to the seeds trying to pop through the surface. I do that for any of the seeds that I'm germinating. So here's what I was telling you about the seed starting. So 7 to 14 days, that's what I've experienced, is right around 10 days. The temperature, the 45 to 80, this is where I was a little bit concerned about having it on top of my freezer, because it's generally 80 to 85 degrees, and onions are a little bit more of a cooler weather crop. So that's why I'm thinking I'm probably going to get better success with starting these without a heat mat and in my crawl space under the grow light, which my crawl space stays at about 60 degrees year round. So I'm thinking that may be a better chance or better success rate. I'll update you how that's going. I think what I may do is the two that I have that haven't sprouted yet, the 2 containers, I may put one up here in my bay window and then one downstairs in the crawl space, and kind of have them race against each other and see which one gets there first. All right, everybody. I just want to thank you all for coming along here with us and letting me share how I'm doing this with you. It feels kind of weird actually starting my seeds here in January. I never do my seed sets until later on into February, because like I said, I always buy my onion sets, and then I don't start doing my summer garden seed germination procedure until like mid to late February. So it feels really weird doing this now, and especially looking out the window behind the camera and seeing 6-7 inches of snow all over everything back there. It just totally does not feel right to be doing this right now. But anyway, I want to thank you for coming along. Drop any comments or questions you have below. If you've done onions from seeds and you've done it differently than this, let me know how you've done it, because I'm still trying to learn as far as the onions goes and exactly how to do it. If you've done it this way and you have had success or you've had failures, let me know as well. I mean, I just want to exchange as much information here with you guys and absorb as much as I can at the same time. Thank you so much. I wish you a wonderful day. God bless.